Hey lovers, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll take you step by step on how to cut a basic bodice, which we'll be using for our bustiers. Alright, so we go into the measurement. Our shoulder is 15 inches. Alright, we divide that by 2, which is 7.5. Alright, and the shoulder is never straight, it's always slopey in nature. Come down by 1 inch and then we slant it into the neck in order to have our shoulder slope. All right, after that we are going to determine our armhole, and how you can get your armhole is you divide your bust measurement by 6 and then you add 1.5 or 2 inches for this very measurement. This is where our armhole is. All right, so we're going to slant that into the measurement we had, and at that point that is where we have gotten our chest line. Okay, we go down to our vertical measurement. All right, we take our under bust, our half length, which is 16, our hip measurement at 24, and the leftover there is the full length. All right, we're going to outline those points. All right, we're going to label the point once we have outlined them, just like the way I am doing there. All right, we did not include our bust point, so our bust point is going to be 10, and we're going to equally outline, and then after that we're going to label it. All right, so this is the bust point, this is the under bust. All right, and then the next one that right there is the waist, this is our hip, and the leftover measurement there is our full length. All right, we're going to slope our armhole. We're going to divide what we had on that chest line by 2, and we're going to come in at the middle point. We're going to come in by half an inch. All right, and then we're going to slope our armhole. We're just going to cuff it. All right, and that is what we have right there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to determine our dart. All right, so we divide your bust point by 2, and then we had 4 for this measurement. We're just going to take those points down from the bust point down to your hip. Now on the waist, you're going to come in by 1 inch, and you're equally going to go out by 1 inch on the waist. All right, and then on the hip, we will be going up by 2 inches. All right, and then we are going to connect the dot. All right, don't forget I said you're going to divide your bust span, that is your nipple to nipple, by 2. All right, for this measurement we had 4. All right, that is what we did. So now we're going to dive in and get our armhole dart. Down from the bust point, we go in by 2 inches, just like I did, and we slope it down to our dart. We're going to impute our body measurement. All right, so on the bust point we're going to divide it by 4. On the under bust we divide it by 4 as well, and we impute the measurements there. The same thing on the waist, the same thing on the hip, guys. All right, and that is just it. After that, don't forget, if you have to put your sewing allowance and also the dart allowance that we took. All right, don't forget we took 1 inch in, 1 inch out on the waist. You're going to impute all those measurements, all right, before you cut it, so that you will have a very perfect measurement at the end of the day. All right, so we're going to connect those measurements, and then we're going to head over and work on our neckline. All right, so that is our allowance. So for the neckline, we're going to just use a basic neckline. All right, so the neckline we'll be working with is 3 inches width and 3 inches length. All right, the depth is 3 inches and the width is 3 inches. All right, we're just going to extract that, and after that we are just going to go ahead and cut it out. All right, it is that simple, guys. Please like, share and follow, turn on your notification so that anytime we post a video you will be the first to be notified. We promise you we have amazing tutorial loading up, amazing tutorial on this channel. Just hang in there and follow us step by step. I promise you, you will never regret doing so. For the back measurement, you're going to keep allowance, all right, your zip allowance. All right, we're going to proceed and take the measurement. Our shoulder, remember, is 15. We divide it by 2 just like we did before, 7.5, and then we take 1 inch and then we slope the shoulder. All right, that is where we have gotten our shoulder slope. All right, and we're equally going to determine our armhole. Remember, you divide your bust by 6 and then you add your 2 inches. That is how you derive your armhole. All right, and then at that very point, that is where our chest line is going to be. So you extract the vertical measurement as well, the bust point, the waist. The hip is going to be determined using the front pattern. All right, so we're going to go ahead and outline our waist and our bust point. Then we're going to bring in the front pattern, and we're going to measure from the waist of the front pattern down to the hip. That is when the same measurements that we are going to use on the back. So we have 8 inches from the waist to the hip. That is the same thing that we are going to do over there. We take it down by 8, and that is going to be our hip measurement. Okay, and we're equally going to label it as a hip like we did to the other point. All right, so you're just going to curve in your armhole just like so. All right, and we're going to determine our dart here, but on this other back side we're using the chest line, unlike we use the bust point at the front. Your bust span divided by 2, and you take the measurement. For this one is 4 inches down to the hip. All right, and then just like we did on the waist, we are going in by 1 inch. All right, and we go out by 1 inch as well. And then on the hip we're going to go up by 2 inches, and at this point we are going to connect all those points in order to derive our dart. All right, we connect from the chest line down to the waist, and we take it down to the hip. All right, the next thing that we're going to be doing right now is we're going to impute our body measurement. All right, so you divide your bust point by 4, you divide your waistline by 4, you write down the measurement. The same thing to your hip, and you bring down the measurement. But don't forget, on the waist, the dart allowances must be imputed. All right, in order for you to have a very good and perfect measurement. Do not cut out if you do not put the dart measurement, the waist. All right, the 2 inches we went in, and that's the 1 inches we went in and the 1 inch we went out. That is 2 inches altogether. When you're cutting, you impute it. All right, both on the front and on the back. All right, and then you're going to put in your normal sewing allowance. All right, that is what we just did right there, and our measurement has just come out so beautiful. All right, guys, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to work on the neck. All right, so 3 inches, and then we're going to, for the depth for the back is going to be just 1 inch. All right, it doesn't need to be too deep. All right, so that is just what it is. We're going to curve the neck just like so, and we are going to cut it out. All right, so that's basically the basic bodice pattern. All right, it is beginner friendly. If you're just starting this sewing journey, you need this. All right, so guys, please don't forget to like, share, and comment. We have a lot loading here for you. All right, let's cut it out. All right, we're just going to cut it out just like so, and that is just it for the basic bodice. It is that simple, guys. It is really simple, right? So we're just going to cut it out, and we're going to label it. We're going to label the front. We're equally going to label the back, just like so. All right, thank you so much, guys, for watching. See you in my next video.